My name is Andrea Gathwright with Century 21 Tri-Cities, and today I have Chad with PrimeLending, who we are going to ask some questions that is on everybody's mind. We're going to give you the truth right from the source. So,
fire away.
Fire away. Okay, so can you explain to us what the 715 threshold is?
So they've recently changed the loan amounts or loan limits. So anything above $715,000 as a loan amount is considered a jumbo loan, and anything below $715,000 is considered a conforming loan. When you're looking at the guidelines on a conforming loan versus a jumbo loan, it's far more arduous in terms of requirements on a jumbo versus a conventional. So you're going to be asked for quite a bit more documentation, in terms of deposits and sourcing funds on the jumbo side versus the conventional side.
Okay. As far as jumbo versus conventional, what is a jumbo? And I know that they're changing all the time, by the hour from what I hear. The difference in the interest rate between the two.
Yes, they are changing and fluctuating quite a bit here, as we've all seen in the past few months. But the jumbo pricing is typically about 3/8 to 0.5% lower than your conforming fixed rate mortgages. If you look, I think the national average on a conforming loan, anything below $715,000 was around, I think this week was around 6.875. And the jumbo pricing is probably around 6.25 to 6 3/8.
Okay.
6.375.
Perfect. I know that from the real estate standpoint, we're seeing a lot of listing agents offering $10,000 towards buy down points. What are points? How are they calculated? And what does it take to buy them down?
Discount points are the option for a client to lower their interest rate. You're paying a fee to lower the rate. You're seeing in a fluctuating market, sellers are offering this now, whereas before here, when we were previous 8 months ago, you were looking at zero seller concessions. Now a seller concession is becoming more on the forefront because it's allowing the client to get into a home for a lower interest rate. So when you're paying points, it's typically a percentage of the loan amount. So if it was a $100,000 loan amount and you were going to pay a quarter point, so 0.25%, you're going to pay $250 to say lower a rate. But if you're paying one discount point, you're going to pay 1% of that loan amount, and it's going to translate to an interest rate. Now, when you ask the question of what it's going to take, how far will it buy that rate down, it will be relative to the day you're buying the rate down, because interest rates really aren't changing. It's the cost of the rate on a day-to-day basis that is actually fluctuating. So you may achieve a quarter pointed rate on one day for 1%, meaning say if it's a $200,000 loan, $2,000, or it may be 1.5% depending on the day. So you really have to see where, how long the lock-in term is, and what the current market situation is when you're buying the rate down. And that's how you translate those rates and those buy downs.
Okay. So now when is it beneficial to buy down these rates? How much could it actually save you on a monthly mortgage?
When you're calculating something like that, when I'm sitting with a client, what I'm looking at is the break even. So what's the cost and what's the benefit? So if I buy down a rate and I'm looking at, so say I can save $50 a month on monthly payment for a buy down of X amount of dollars. Well, you pencil it out. Are you going to be there in the house for how long are you going to be in the house? What term of interest are you going to save over 12 months, over say 5 years? So you start breaking that down, and then you can decide with the client if that makes more sense. Some people, if they're going to be leaving, you're going to be, they're going to be transferring out of the area, it may not make sense to buy down the rate because they may never recover the cost of the buy down.
Right.
So you really have to look at it in terms of cost, savings and then the benefit
What the long term
to
is.
determine if it's really going to be something that's going to benefit the client.
Okay. And then is there a top to where, like, you can go this high and you can't buy down anymore after that?
It becomes quite expensive to buy down past certain points. So, you know, a 0.5% in rate. I mean, you start to, and again, it goes back to it's relative to the day you're locking the loan or buying the points. I mean, it can get quite expensive when you pass a certain threshold, say, you know, 0.25% in rate or a 0.5% in rate. It gets very expensive past that point. I couldn't put it in perspective because, again, I don't know.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. Every day is going to be different. So you'd have to, but it will get quite expensive. And
Right.
then you're really looking at the cost benefit. If it's going to, where do you break even there?
It's all got to make sense in
It's
the
got to
end.
make sense.
Okay. So do buyers and sellers need to be worried about our current market? Because I know that sellers have been spoiled for, the past 2 years plus on, you know, they list their house, it's under contract in under 24 hours. That's not the case now. I mean, houses are still selling. It just has more of an opportunity for buyers per se. But does either side have to be worried?
I would not say, I've been local doing this for quite a few years. I've been through situations and circumstances and cycles like this. The rates will settle. The markets will settle. I think people will become used to what the norm is now, and then we will see probably another refinance boom. I think when I bought my first home, it was 8.625. So I look at this and I think, well, we have been spoiled. We've seen the benefits of lower rates for quite some time. And if you're looking at just general applications, refinance are down, I think, from last year to this year, around 87%. So, I mean, mortgage purchases are down, I think, 37%. However, I think people are waiting for some calm in the markets, and I don't think that there's any reason to press the panic button.
Right. Okay. So I like to say, you know, you marry the house, date the interest rate, find the house you love. If the interest rates come down, you can always refinance.
Absolutely.
You know, but if the house you love, you let it pass because of interest rates, you may not have another shot at it.
That is correct.
So, is there anything else that you're kind of seeing that, you know?
When as a client looking for a home or inquiring about financing, I think it's vital and it's important that you sit down and actually go through the numbers and talk through the scenarios and situations. It's very difficult to try to keep up real time with markets as they've been lately and trying to convey that to a client rather than sitting down and actually explaining how the process flows. I think that information and that knowledge that they can gain from a personal communication or a personal meeting is going to be far more beneficial than an email. So
Right.
I would highly encourage that you sit
Get in
down
front.
and get in front of and actually educate.
Right. Perfect. So I think that's all the questions that I have. If you guys have any other questions that I didn't ask Chad or Chad didn't, answer when he was explaining, go ahead and you can just drop a comment below, or you can shoot me an email, and we can definitely get those questions answered for you. If they want to reach out to you directly, how would they do that?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 509-539-8043.
Did you guys catch that? That's his cell phone.
Yes, 509-539-8043. You can reach me anytime.
And then any real estate questions you have, feel free to give me a call, 509-947-2615.